So I've been working through this cardigan and I've just reached the point where I have divided for the armholes, and I've done just a few rows beyond that. So I've got a couple of decisions I'm going to make, because now is a good time to try it on to check out how the sizings worked. First thing I did is I got a second needle and I just slipped half of the stitches onto that needle, which allows me to stretch the whole thing out without having it been gathered in or worrying about my stitches slipping off. So that's the first thing I did so I could put it on first of all. Then I'm going to take a look at this and see how this sits down. So here, when we finish, there's going to be around about 1 inch in between here. So when I pull these two up here, I need to know that the neck isn't too tight for me. If it's a little loose, it's actually okay, because see the way this all rolls up, we're going to have a little bit of an edging. We'll kind of decide as we get along whether you like the open neck, in which case you might finish off with just a plain I-cord by itself. If you want to pull it in a little higher, you can put a little bit of ribbing on and then do an I-cord maybe on its own, or do an I-cord afterwards. So in terms of where the neck fits, you need to unroll it a little to get a feel for what that's going to look like. This will give you an idea of how far apart it's going to be to see if you like the bust size. So in this case, it's got about 1 inch in between here. I like that. It's over a bigger sweater, and it's going to probably be not worn with something quite this heavy, but I still want it a little loose, but I definitely have plenty of room here. The other thing to look at is when you take it off and you've got a little bit, the underarm, make sure it's not too tight here. It's not catching. Feels good. So just they're the kind of things you want to check at this point, because you've only gone a few rows in, so you can very easily backtrack, take those rows out, and then add a little extra length to the yoke before you do your division. Or possibly if you're not happy with how wide it is and you want it bigger, you might introduce some more, another increase row. Or if it's too big, you might rip back and perhaps take a couple of increases out, or not increases, stitches that you've cast on at the underarm. You might take a few of those out if it feels a little bit too big. So at this stage, there's a lot of little things you can do to kind of tweak it and change it before you go any further. But the key is to try it on. Next decision we're going to make is how we're going to do our shaping. So the reason I've tried it on at this stage, normally I would wait a little bit longer, but I wanted to show you why you'd put it on here for make those decisions. But the next decision is the kind of waist shaping you want to make. So I'm going to give you different options. You can have one where it just goes straight down. You just keep knitting to the length you want. Or you can do a slight A-line where this point is the narrowest point and then it increases very slowly. Or the third option is one where you, after the fullest bust point, you start doing a little bit of decreases. Then when you hit the waist, you start doing a little bit of increases. I'll describe each of those with you, and I'll make my decision as I'm going along as to which I'm going to do. Kind of been leaning towards A-line a lot lately, so we'll see when I reach the fullest bust point how I'm feeling about it. In terms of the sizing, I usually do put it on, and I put it down to about 2.5 inches is generally when the fullest bust point is. When you put it down and the end of this work is to the full point, that's when you're going to stop and you're going to start doing either your increases or your decreases. You don't want it happening before that, because you want to make sure you just get past that full bust point, because it does, if you're going to decrease, it happens very shortly after that. If it's A-line, you want it to slowly happen below that. So that's the second reason you want to try it on, well, not quite now, but a little bit from now. What I'll do is, trying it on, I can measure and see how much further I want to go, and I can use that as an indicator. So this should hopefully give you a little bit of an idea of what you're looking for when you're trying your sweater on.